Commander Alan Bailey's boots made soft thumping sounds against the polished floor of the Lunar Research Station's observation deck. He stopped at the massive window and looked down at Earth, a beautiful blue marble hanging in the blackness of space. His weathered face showed the years of struggle humanity had faced since the aliens arrived. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" Alan said without turning around. He knew the aliens were behind him. He could smell their strange scent, like cinnamon, mixed with ozone. 3 representatives from the Galactic Council floated a few feet off the ground. Their bodies looked like giant jellyfish with 10 eyes spread across their dome-shaped heads. Their translucent tentacles moved slowly, rippling with blue light patterns that showed their emotions. Right now, those patterns showed something humans had learned to recognize. The aliens were amused. "Very pretty," said Zorvak, the leader of the alien group. His voice came through a small translator device hovering near his body. "Though we have seen much more impressive worlds in our travels." Alan turned around to face them. He had met with alien diplomats hundreds of times over his 20-year career, but it never got easier. They always made him feel small, like a child trying to talk with adults. "Thank you for coming today," Alan said, keeping his voice professional. "We wanted to personally invite you to tomorrow's test launch." Zorvak's tentacles rippled faster. "Ah yes, another attempt at hyperdimensional travel. You humans are certainly determined, I will give you that. How many failed tests has this been? 15? 20? 23, Alan admitted. But we learn something new each time. The aliens had arrived on Earth 50 years ago. Humanity had been both terrified and amazed. The visitors brought incredible technology, cures for many diseases, clean energy systems, and faster-than-light communication. They invited Earth to join the Galactic Council, a group of over 300 intelligent species who ruled the Milky Way together. But humans quickly learned their place in this new order. They were the newcomers, the primitives, barely worth noticing. Some technologies were shared freely, but others were kept secret. The most important one, hyperdimensional travel, was never offered to humans. Dr. Samantha Wells walked onto the observation deck. She was tall and thin with short gray hair and intense brown eyes. As Earth's top scientist working on hyperdimensional physics, she had faced these aliens many times. "Ambassador Zorvak," she said with a small bow, "I hope you're finding your stay comfortable." "Quite adequate," Zorvak replied. "We were just discussing tomorrow's test. The commander seems confident, but history suggests another disappointing outcome." Samantha clutched her electronic tablet tighter. "With all due respect, sir, we believe this attempt will be different. Our approach has completely changed." The 3 aliens moved their eye stalks to look at each other. Their tentacles vibrated in a pattern that the humans recognized as laughter. "Your species thinks so simply," Zorvak said, his translator making his voice sound kind, though his words were not. 3 dimensions, maybe 4 if you count time. The truly advanced races think in 12 dimensions minimum. Your brain simply cannot grasp the complexity required. "Perhaps," Samantha said calmly, though Alan could see the anger in her eyes. "But we are still learning." "For 50 years, said another alien named Mextor. "And yet you are no closer. Some species simply lack the mental capacity for certain concepts." Alan felt his hands tighten into fists. This was how it always went. The aliens never missed a chance to remind humans of their place, at the bottom of the galactic ladder. When the aliens first arrived, humanity had been hopeful. They thought they would be welcomed as equals. Instead, they were treated like clever pets. Humans could visit a few nearby star systems, but only with alien permission and supervision. Earth's government still ruled their planet, but any decisions involving space needed approval from the Galactic Council. "The test launch is scheduled for 1400 hours tomorrow," Alan said firmly. "We would be honored by your presence." "We will attend," Zorvak said. "It is our duty to monitor all potentially dangerous experiments, even those likely to fail." As the aliens floated towards the exit, Mextor turned back. "Do not be discouraged when it fails again. Many species never master hyperdimensional travel. There is no shame in focusing on simpler technologies better suited to your capabilities." After the door closed behind them, Samantha let out a long breath. 50 years and they still talk to us like we're children. Did you see their confidence? Alan shook his head. They enjoy watching us fail. They think we're just monkeys, playing with tools we don't understand, Samantha said, her voice bitter. The two humans walked to a small meeting room off the main corridor. Alan checked to make sure they were alone, then pressed a button that activated privacy shields. The room hummed softly as sound-blocking technology engaged. "Any news from Nevada?" he asked. Samantha's face changed completely. The frustrated scientist was gone, replaced by someone excited and hopeful. "Richard sent an update this morning. Final tests are complete. The ship is ready." Alan felt his heart beat faster. "And it works? Truly works?" "Better than we ever imagined," Samantha said. She activated her tablet and showed him a video. The footage showed a small drone-like object sitting on a platform. Then the drone became blurry, seemed to exist and not exist at the same time, and vanished. The video switched to another camera showing the drone appearing in a different room instantly. 7 seconds, Samantha whispered. 7 seconds to travel 2 miles through solid rock. The 7th dimension works, Alan. For 50 years, humans had tried to copy alien hyperdimensional technology. They had built ships that attempted to fold space through the 5th and 6th dimensions just as the aliens did. Every attempt had failed. Then, 6 months ago, Dr. Richard Kendall had made an incredible discovery. While studying strange quantum effects, he had found evidence of something the aliens had missed, or perhaps never discovered. A 7th dimension that worked differently from all others. "How soon can we move to the next phase?" Alan asked. "The USS Defiance is complete," Samantha said. "The crew has been training in simulators for months. We're ready." Alan looked back out the window at Earth below. For 50 years, humans had been the joke of the galaxy. Primitives struggling with concepts beyond their understanding. "Tomorrow will give them exactly what they expect," Alan said. "Another failed test, another chance for them to laugh at us." "And while they're laughing," Samantha began. "We'll change everything," Alan finished. "They've underestimated us. From the beginning. That's about to become their biggest mistake." Outside the window, the stars shined steadily, unaware that the balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift dramatically. 1 mile beneath the Nevada desert, hidden from both satellites and alien observation devices, lay humanity's greatest secret. The massive underground complex had been built over 30 years, disguised as a deep storage facility for nuclear waste. No aliens had ever set foot inside. They had no reason to. After all, what could primitives like humans possibly hide that would interest them? Alan and Samantha stepped out of the elevator after a 3-minute descent. Armed guards checked their identification twice before allowing them through the final security door. The door was 10 feet thick and made from materials that blocked all known scanning technologies. "How many people know about this place?" Alan asked as they walked down a long corridor with white walls. 83 people total," Samantha replied. "Everyone who works here lives here. No one has left the facility in 6 months." They reached another security checkpoint where their eyes were scanned. The door opened to reveal a room larger than 10 football fields. The ceiling was at least 100 feet high with rows of bright lights that made the space as bright as day. And there it was. The USS Defiance. The ship didn't look like normal spacecraft. It wasn't sleek and smooth like alien vessels, nor was it practical and functional like human ships. Parts of it seemed solid, while other sections flickered and wavered as if they weren't fully real. The hull was a dark gray color with blue lines running across it in strange patterns that hurt the eyes if you looked at them too long. "It's hard to look at," Alan said, blinking as his vision began to blur. "That's because part of it doesn't exist in our dimension," said a voice behind them. They turned to see Dr. Richard Kendall approaching with a smile on his face. Richard was in his 50s with wild gray hair and bright, excited eyes. He wore a simple white lab coat with the Project Ascension patch, a human hand reaching for a 7-pointed star. "Richard," Samantha said warmly, hugging her old friend. "The latest reports look amazing." "The final tests exceeded all our expectations," Richard said. Come, the others are waiting. He led them to a small meeting room overlooking the hangar. 5 people were already seated around a table. General Patricia Martinez from Space Command, a tough-looking woman with short black hair, Chief Engineer Frank Collins, a large man with massive hands, Project Security Director Olivia Reynolds, whose sharp eyes missed nothing, AI Systems Specialist William Carter, young and brilliant with 3 doctoral degrees, and President Eleanor Grant herself, the first American president to serve since aliens arrived on Earth. Commander Bailey, Dr. Wells, President Grant said, standing to greet them. Thank you for coming. Dr. Kendall was just about to explain exactly how our miracle ship works. Everyone sat down as Richard activated a holographic display in the center of the table. A swirling mass of colored lines appeared, forming shapes that seemed to bend in impossible ways. For 50 years, Richard began, we've been trying to copy alien technology. We studied their ships, their math, everything they were willing to share about hyperdimensional travel. But we were playing their game by their rules, and losing. He changed the display to show a conventional alien ship. Alien vessels fold, space using the 5th and 6th dimensions. Think of it like taking a piece of paper, folding it so 2 distant points touch, then punching a hole through both points. That's how they travel vast distances instantly. And we could never make it work, Samantha added. Our attempts always collapsed, because we were missing something fundamental, Richard said. He tapped a control and the hologram changed again. 6 months ago, I was studying quantum probability fields when I noticed something strange. Particles weren't just existing in multiple possible states, they were communicating between those states. The display showed tiny dots connected by lines that stretched and twisted in ways that made Alan's head hurt. That's when I discovered the 7th dimension, Richard said, quietly. The aliens use 5 and 6 for travel, but they completely miss 7. It's not a spatial dimension at all. It's a dimension of possibility. What does that mean in simple terms? President Grant asked. Frank Collins, the chief engineer, stood up. His voice was deep and rough from years of working with engine systems. It means the Defiance doesn't move through space. It moves through possibility. It finds the reality where it's already at its destination, and makes that reality the only one that exists. How is that different from what the aliens do? General, Martinez asked. The aliens bend space to create shortcuts, Richard explained. We're doing something much more fundamental. We're selecting which version of reality exists. It's like, instead of taking a different path to get somewhere, we're choosing to be in a universe where we're already there. Alan looked at the ship through the window. And the aliens have no idea this is possible? None, Richard said. They're so convinced they know everything that they stopped looking for new approaches centuries ago. Their civilization has been stable for thousands of years. They don't innovate anymore, they just maintain what they have. Tell them about the flicker effect, Samantha suggested. Richard nodded. The reason parts of the ship seem to fade in and out is because those sections exist partially in the 7th dimension. They're in a state of quantum superposition, both here and not here at the same time. President Grant walked to the window and stared at the Defiance. It doesn't look like much. Neither did the Wright brothers' first airplane, Richard said with a smile. But it changed everything. What happens next? Alan asked. Tomorrow's public test is really just a distraction, Samantha explained. We'll launch our conventional prototype in full view of the alien representatives. It will fail, just as they expect it to. And while they're busy feeling superior, Richard continued, we'll be here, launching the Defiance on its maiden voyage to Alpha Centauri. A journey that should take 4 years at our fastest conventional speed, completed in under a minute. President Grant turned to face the group, her expression serious. If this works, it changes everything. Our position in the galaxy, our future as a species. The aliens will have to recognize us as equals. When this works, Richard corrected, gently. It will work. Alan looked around at the small group gathered in the room, the only humans who knew about Project Ascension. Tomorrow they would change history. 50 years of being laughed at, he said quietly. 50 years of being treated like children playing with toys. That ends tomorrow. Through the window, the USS Defiance flickered, parts of it sliding between realities, ready to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. The bright New Mexico sun beat down on the desert testing facility. Hundreds of people gathered behind safety barriers to watch history being made, or so they thought. News crews from around the world pointed their cameras at the launch pad, where Earth's newest hyperdimensional prototype sat, gleaming in the sunlight. The ship looked impressive. It was shaped like a flattened egg with smooth silver panels and glowing blue lines running across its hull. 6 weeks of non-stop work had gone into making it look sophisticated and advanced, but it was all for show. Commander Alan Bailey stood on the viewing platform with the 3 alien representatives. Zorvac floated slightly higher than the others, his translucent tentacles rippling with blue light patterns. "Your engineers have outdone themselves this time, Commander," Zorvac said. "The ship looks quite convincing." Alan nodded politely. "We believe this design addresses the instability issues from our previous attempts." "I admire your optimism," Mixtor said, "though I must wonder how many failures it will take before humans accept their limitations." Alan checked his watch. The fake demonstration would begin in 5 minutes. At exactly the same time, almost 1,000 miles away, the real mission would launch. "We're stubborn that way," Alan replied. "We don't give up easily." "A admirable quality in some situations," Zorvac said, "but foolish in others. Some barriers are not meant to be broken by species like yours." The countdown began, over the loudspeakers. The crowd grew quiet with anticipation. This was the 24th public attempt at hyperdimensional travel. The last 23 had failed in various spectacular ways, but hope remained. Humans always hoped. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Captain Lisa Morgan sat in the command, chair of the USS Defiance. At 42, she had spent her entire adult life in the space program. When aliens arrived on Earth, she had been a fresh-faced pilot just out of training. Now she was about to make history. "Final systems check," she ordered, her voice calm despite the butterflies in her stomach. Her crew of 6 responded one by one. 7th-Dimensional field generators at full power, reported Chief Engineer Ben Howard. "All systems green." "Navigation matrix aligned," said Daniel Wright, the ship's navigator. His fingers moved across the holographic controls with practiced precision. "Coordinates for Alpha Centauri locked in. Life support and emergency systems standing by," added Medical Officer Lauren Hill. "Crew biometrics normal. Communication systems ready," said Communications Officer Karen Murphy. "Quantum entanglement link with base is stable. Defense systems on standby," reported Security Officer John Cooper, "though I doubt we'll need them." At the science station, Dr. Richard Kendall monitored the ship's unique systems. 7th-dimensional membrane is stable. Probability matrix is aligned. "We're ready, Captain." Lisa tapped a button on her chair. "Control, this is Defiance. We are go for launch." "Defiance, this is Control," came Samantha's voice over the speakers. "You are cleared for launch. The diversion is underway. All eyes are on New Mexico." Lisa looked around at her crew. 6 people about to do something no human had ever done. Travel faster than any alien in the galaxy. "Begin final countdown," she ordered. T-minus 30 seconds. In New Mexico, the fake prototype began to hum loudly. Blue lights pulsed along, its hull as power built up in its engines. "Energy readings are climbing," one of the human technicians announced. "Approaching critical threshold." Zorvac and the other aliens watched with mild interest. They had seen this show before. The human ship would build up energy, attempt to create a hyperdimensional field, then fail when the field collapsed. T-minus 10 seconds, came the announcement. Alan's phone vibrated in his pocket. A single text message appeared on the screen. "Defiance launching now." He put the phone away and watched the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. 7th-dimensional drive, Captain Morgan commanded. Richard pressed his palm against the activation panel. The lights in the ship dimmed for a moment, then brightened again. A strange feeling washed over the crew. Each person felt as if they were suddenly in multiple places at once. Lisa saw thousands of versions of herself making slightly different decisions. Daniel felt his consciousness spread across light years of space. Lauren experienced every possible medical emergency happening simultaneously. Then, just as suddenly, reality snapped back into focus. "Report!" Lisa called out, fighting off a wave of dizziness. Daniel checked his instruments, his hands shaking slightly. "Position confirmed. We're in orbit around Alpha Centauri B. We're here, Captain." The bridge fell silent as the impact of his words sank in. "Travel time?" Lisa asked. Richard checked his readings. 47 seconds from activation to arrival. 47 seconds to travel 437 light years. A journey that would take conventional human ships over 4 years. "My God," Ben whispered. "We did it." Cheers erupted across the bridge. Karen hugged Daniel. John slapped Ben on the back. Even the normally serious Lauren broke into a wide smile. Lisa let them celebrate for a moment before raising her hand for quiet. "Let's remember why we're here. Karen, establish contact with the research outpost. Let them know we've arrived." Karen turned to her station. Channel open to Alpha Centauri Research Outpost. A surprised voice came over the speakers. "This is Outpost Director Greg Wilson. Who am I speaking with? We weren't expecting any ships for at least 6 months." "Director Wilson, this is Captain Lisa Morgan of the USS Defiance. We've just arrived from Earth using the 7th-Dimensional drive." There was a long pause. That's impossible. The trip takes over 4 years." "Not anymore," Lisa said, unable to keep the pride from her voice. "We left Earth less than 1 minute ago." Another long pause. I need to verify your identity. Sending verification codes now," Karen said, transmitting the secure authentication data. After a moment, Wilson's voice returned, now trembling with excitement. "Codes confirmed. This changes everything." "Yes," Lisa agreed. "It does. Prepare for our arrival. We'll be landing in 30 minutes. She turned to Richard. "Send the confirmation signal to Earth. Tell them Project Ascension was successful." Richard nodded and activated the quantum communication device. This message would reach Earth instantly, regardless of distance, thanks to the weird properties of quantum entanglement, another technology humans had developed on their own. "Message sent," Richard confirmed. "They know we made it." Lisa stood up and looked around at her crew. "What we've done today will change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The aliens thought we couldn't do it. They thought we'd never figure it out. They were wrong." She walked to the front viewport where the twin suns of Alpha Centauri shone brightly. "Take us into orbit around the outpost. Let's show them what humans can really do." In New Mexico, the fake prototype was putting on a good show. Energy swirled around it in colorful patterns as its engines whined louder and louder. Then, right on schedule, the fields collapsed. The energy dissipated harmlessly into the air as safety systems engaged. The ship powered down with a sad whining noise. The human technicians did their best to look disappointed. The crowd behind the barriers groaned with frustration. Zorvac turned to Alan. "A valiant attempt, Commander. Perhaps next year." Alan's phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. "Success, we're at Alpha Centauri." He looked up at the alien and smiled. "Yes, Ambassador, there's always next time." 3 days passed before the Galactic Council realized something had changed. It started with routine reports from the Alpha Centauri system. The human research outpost there suddenly showed unusual activity. When questioned, the human staff simply said they were hosting visitors from Earth. At first, no one paid much attention. Humans often sent ships to their small colony at Alpha Centauri, though the journey took over 4 years each way. But then, a council monitoring station detected an unusual energy signature, a signature unlike anything in their records. The alarm spread quickly through the highest levels of galactic government. Emergency meetings were called. Data was analyzed. Theories were proposed and rejected. On the fourth day, the USS Defiance returned to Earth. The journey back from Alpha Centauri took exactly 53 seconds. Within hours, ships from every major galactic power began arriving in Earth's solar system. Some came to investigate. Others came to threaten. All came demanding answers. The newly constructed diplomatic center in Geneva gleamed in the morning sunlight. Built using a mix of human and alien technology, the massive building featured a grand meeting hall with seats for representatives from over 300 species. Today, those seats were filled. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering of alien diplomats on Earth since first contact 50 years ago. Commander Alan Bailey stood at the back of the human delegation. President Eleanor Grant sat at the front table, flanked by Samantha, Richard, and Captain Lisa Morgan. The four of them looked small compared to the varied alien forms that filled the chamber. The Grand Arbiter of the Council, an ancient being named Zortelis, hovered at the center of the room. Unlike the jellyfish-like diplomats humans usually dealt with, the Arbiter resembled a cloud of glowing purple gas contained within a transparent shell. According to alien records, Zortelis was over 15,000 years old and had never before addressed humans directly. "This emergency session is now open," the Arbiter announced, its voice translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. "We are here to address the matter of unauthorized hyperdimensional technology developed by the humans of Earth." Zorvak floated forward. 3 days ago, a human vessel traveled from Earth to Alpha Centauri in less than 1 minute. This violates Council Regulation 7293, which forbids sharing advanced technology with primitive species. "We didn't steal your technology," President Grant said, her voice firm. "We developed our own." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds as dozens of species spoke at once. Some clicked and whistled. Others rumbled with deep tones. A few flashed colors across their bodies instead of making sounds. The Arbiter pulsed brightly, and silence fell. "Explain." Richard stood up. He looked nervous but determined. "For 50 years we studied the 5th and 6th dimensions, trying to replicate your folding technique. We failed, just as you expected we would." Many aliens nodded or made their species-equivalent gestures. "But in doing so," Richard continued, "we discovered something you missed. The 7th dimension." More noise filled the chamber, this time with a tone of disbelief and anger. "Impossible," declared Mextivore, a senior scientist from the Galactic Academy. "Our civilization has studied dimensional physics for millennia. There is no 7th dimension that enables faster travel than our methods." Richard activated a small device. A holographic display appeared, showing complex equations and diagrams. "The 7th dimension isn't about space at all. It's about probability. The dimension where all possible realities exist simultaneously." Alan watched as the alien delegates studied the display. Some dismissed it immediately. Others looked confused. But a few, the true scientists among them, leaned forward with growing interest. "Our ship doesn't fold space," Richard explained. "It shifts probability. It finds the reality where it's already at the destination, and makes that reality the only one that exists." The Arbiter floated closer to examine the display. "This is unexpected. Our understanding of reality has been stable for 10,000 years. No new fundamental dimensional discoveries have been made in that time." "Perhaps that's the problem," Samantha suggested. "Your civilizations are so advanced, so stable, that you stopped looking for new answers. You thought you knew everything there was to know." Zorvak's tentacles rippled with agitation. "This changes nothing. Humans remain a primitive species under Council protection and guidance. Your discovery, while interesting, does not alter your status." President Grant stood up. She was a small woman but carried herself with dignity and strength. "That's where you're wrong, Ambassador. This changes everything. We're here to formally request full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges." The chamber exploded with noise again. Some species seemed amused, others were clearly outraged. A few remained thoughtfully silent. "Absurd," Zorvak declared. Humans have been part of galactic society for barely 50 years. Full membership requires centuries of proven stability and technological achievement. Under normal circumstances, yes, President Grant agreed. But these are not normal circumstances. We've discovered something that changes the fundamental understanding of space travel, something your civilizations missed despite millennia of research. The Arbiter pulsed softly, thinking. The human has a point, Ambassador. Discovery of a new dimensional principle is significant. They're barely out of their Stone Age, another alien protested. They still fight wars among themselves. They still burn fossil fuels on parts of their planet. Alan stepped forward. Yes, we're young. Yes, we make mistakes. But we also innovate. We look for new solutions. When did your species last discover something truly new? The question hung in the air. Many of the oldest galactic civilizations had been stable for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Technology advanced in tiny increments. True breakthroughs were rare. The Council must consider this matter carefully, the Arbiter finally said. We will recess for deliberation. As the aliens began filing out, Zorvac approached the human delegation. This is a mistake. Your species is not ready for full membership. Maybe, Alan replied. Or maybe the Council needs species that ask new questions and find new answers. Zorvac's tentacles rippled. And what will you do if the Council rejects your request? President Grant smiled politely. We've already begun construction on a fleet of ships equipped with 7th-Dimensional drives. The first 5 will launch next month regardless of the Council's decision. You wouldn't dare, Zorvac said. The Council could impose sanctions, blockades. How? Lisa asked, speaking up for the first time. Your ships can't catch ours. Your sensors can't track our movements through the 7th dimension. We can go anywhere we want, anytime we want, and you can't stop us. The alien diplomat fell silent, understanding the implications. After 3 hours of deliberation, the Council returned. The Arbiter hovered at the center of the chamber, glowing more brightly than before. For 10,000 years, it began. The hierarchy of galactic civilization has remained unchanged. Species were ranked by their age, stability, and technological achievement. We believed this system was just and immutable. The great chamber was completely silent. Today, that changes. The humans of Earth have demonstrated something rare in our galaxy, the ability to innovate in truly fundamental ways. While young, and sometimes reckless, they offer something the Council has lacked, new perspectives. The Arbiter pulsed with blue light. By unanimous vote, Earth is granted probationary full membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The humans will share their discovery of 7th-dimensional physics, and in return, all Council technology will be made available to them. Cheers erupted from the human delegation. Many alien species made their own sounds of approval. Others remained silent, clearly unhappy with the decision but unwilling to oppose the Arbiter. As the session ended, Samantha found Alan staring out a window at the Swiss landscape. 50 years of being treated like children, she said, and now we're equals. Not just equals, Alan replied. In some ways, we're ahead. They've had stable societies for so long that they forgot how to think differently. And now? Alan smiled as he watched a 7th-dimensional ship shimmer into existence high above Lake Geneva, returning from a mission to a distant star. Now humanity takes its place among the stars, not as students or children, but as teachers and partners. The galaxy laughed at us, Samantha said softly. And now we're all laughing together, Alan finished. That's real progress. In the months and years that followed, humans spread throughout the galaxy. 7th-dimensional travel changed everything. Trade, exploration, diplomacy. Earth became a center for innovation, a place where other species came to learn new ways of thinking. The once laughing galaxy now watched in wonder as humanity took its rightful place among the stars. The end.